What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, I'm back with another incredible guest, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is the founder of HeartPaths Spirituality Centers. He is a minister and also an author. Please welcome Bob Gardenhire III. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Deanna. What a pleasure to be with you today.
Pleasure to have you. I'm very excited to learn a little bit more about the Heart Path Spirituality Center and talk about your book. So first, let's talk about your mission and your why on starting. You said you were a church with no walls, right?
Yes, HeartPaths is a institution without walls.
Institution. There we go. Tell
Yeah.
us about that and what got you on the path of starting Heart Paths.
Well, back in the early 80s, I was on staff at a large church here in Oklahoma City, minister of care and counseling. And my senior minister wanted me to develop a counseling center that was based on the spirituality of Carl Jung. And Carl Jung I was aware of him, but I wasn't up on that. So I started researching, and across my desk one day came this flyer from a retreat center in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania called The Gentle Art of Spiritual Guidance.
Oh, wow.
And when I looked at the brochure, the leader was a Jungian scholar and Quaker mystic.
Hmm.
So I had the great spiritual thought, oh my gosh, a week in the Pocono Mountains in spring.
Yeah.
I get to see the friend of mine that's the leader of that, and the church pays for it.
Amazing.
So I went to my senior minister and he said yes. Well, little did I know that week that the John Youngblood, who ran a spiritual direction center, the whole week was about the contemplative and mystical tradition of Christianity.
Okay.
Those were
Sounds very
two,
deep.
yeah, those were two words I had never heard.
Yeah.
Growing up in Oklahoma and going to seminary during the Vietnam War years, contemplative and mystic weren't used. And the more he talked, the more I thought, this is who I really am.
Yeah.
I'm not a depressed introvert. I'm a contemplative mystic, and I've had all these experiences that no one ever told me were a part of the spiritual journey.
Hmm. Wow.
So when I came back, I began to research and ran across places that taught spiritual direction, the companionship that you have with a person to help them develop their spiritual life, and some of the contemplative practices. And so I began to create a center with that, and Heart Paths was born.
And here it is 30 years later.
Yeah, well, it's 40 years later
Well, oh,
now.
40 years. Well, yeah, time is flying by.
Sorry. Yeah, that was 1982. And so Heart Paths has been training spiritual directors and teaching contemplative spirituality for 43 years.
And so what would that mean to someone that doesn't understand, like in layman's terms? What is that contemporary? What does that mean to someone?
Yeah. The contemplative way is about getting out of your head that controls facts
Okay.
and connecting with the flow or the spirit or the built-in beauty of the universe that's already there. And it's in the Christian tradition as well
Yeah.
as all of other traditions. It's just that nobody, at least up until the time I discovered it, nobody had ever talked about it. And not many people in churches have heard about it. And
So
that became my mission.
yeah, you're like ahead of your time because I think that this is more talked about and more understood in today's world than when you started it.
When I got together a group of 10 people who I thought were spiritual,
Yeah.
and we spent 2 years trying to read and practice all kinds of prayer and meditation and spiritual practices and disciplines. And there were very few books
Yeah.
about this. but now there's been an explosion,
Yeah.
and
How does that make you feel that you were kind of ahead of the curve?
I feel very blessed about that,
Yeah.
and honored to get a chance to help that spread.
Yeah.
And I was a part of Spiritual Directors International since 1991,
Okay.
and their work has been to spread the same contemplative and spiritual direction ministry, and it's exploded across the well, really across the world, but
Yes.
especially here in North America.
And so you have two locations, one in Oklahoma and one in Texas.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
is your team, because I know you're not involved in the day-to-day operations anymore, is your team looking to expand that, or are you just staying in those two locations?
Right now, the two locations are all that our team can handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know. Growth is inevitable, right?
Well, yeah. If you're not, if you're not growing, you're dying. So uh, I
In
think
many
maybe
ways.
yeah, rather than starting another site, I think the mission right now is to just keep adding more ways to be involved.
Yeah. And Heart Paths, who would who is your ideal person to go and participate in your training?
Ideal person would be someone who, either through their profession, like being a part of a church or some kind of spiritual community, wants to grow deeper,
Hmm.
wants to deepen their intuition, deepen their uh, ability to connect with the divine. But then there are chaplains, pastoral care people,
Okay.
people in hospice, anybody that's dealing with the inner life of a human being, I believe would benefit from connecting more deeply inside their own self
Yeah.
with the spirit.
I love that. So not just for pastors and spiritual leaders, but for someone like myself, I could participate in the training.
Yes.
Oh, I
Oh,
love it.
yes.
I love it.
Yes. And we have, my mission was helping churches develop a contemplative side, because most churches, at least in Oklahoma, are all Bible study based and
Yeah.
head oriented, which is wonderful, but it's not all that there
Yeah.
is.
Right.
It's not enough. It's
No.
not the full picture.
No. I love it. I love your
Yeah.
mission there. So let's talk
Yeah,
about your book. Do you have a picture of it or a copy of it?
I do.
So I'd follow the way if I could see the road more clearly. I love
Yeah.
that. I love the title.
Thank you. Uh, what inspired that title? Uh, Hay House offered a authors workshop, and they
Okay.
talked about you got to have a hook. What are you really wanting to touch in people? And what led me to choose that title is I hear a lot of people now that are just so disappointed in Christianity
Why is that?
or turned off about. Well, um, the rigidity of some
Oh.
of the
Hmm.
branches of Christianity that want to judge everybody, or want to, like, this rising of Christian nationalism where uh, you have to believe it a certain way. You have to tie it with patriotism. Uh, some people are even called Jesus weak and woke now, which that's
What? This is
woke
something I
is
have not
really a
heard.
great
Oh my
word.
gosh.
So
Yikes.
uh, the old paradigm that the institutional church has followed in most places isn't full enough to lead us past the judgmentalism. And so this book, the lenses I'm talking about, are ways to look at the story of Jesus that set you free
Hmm. Okay.
rather than bind you.
Sure. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of fits with your label free
Yes.
idea that we have to have break the boundaries of labels. to
Yeah.
move past. Yeah.
In many different ways, and especially, I mean, religion is one of them too, right? I mean, I've been not heard that Jesus is considered woke. That's just crazy to me. My mind is like blown with that. But that's where people want to label and put things in boxes, right? Because I think it helps them be more comfortable with whoever they're choosing to be.
Yes.
That's my opinion.
Well, I people want to be certain,
Yes.
and to
Yeah.
be certain, you have to believe you have the whole truth.
Yeah. That's
And
true.
uh, HeartPaths believes that nobody has all the truth.
No. No.
We have glimpses of truth. We have portions of truth and
Versions. There's different versions of truth,
versions. Yeah. When
you know?
when you come to HeartPaths, one of the test questions for your application is, do you know all there is to know about God?
No.
And if you say yes, you don't belong in HeartPaths,
Yeah.
because we have people across the spectrum sitting in groups together who believe vastly different things, all out of the same tradition of Christianity.
Yeah. What why did you write the book? Who did you want to help with the book?
Well, my primary motivation started out as uh, my grandchildren and my children are not going to hear this story that's called alternate orthodoxy. They're not going to hear it in
Mm,
at least most of the places in Oklahoma and Texas. They're not going to hear it.
yeah.
The churches are not living out of that story. So that was my primary motivation. But the other people I wrote it for, over the years, I've trained hundreds of spiritual directors, and many of them came having come out of very conservative backgrounds, which is fine,
Yeah.
unless that conservative background says you have to stop here, you can't go on. And so people in our training uh, are feeling led by God to expand, to learn new vistas of the faith, and they don't know quite how to go about it. No one's ever mapped it out. So the
Yeah.
book sets out to offer 8 lenses to look through, but it also gives people. I have sections where it talks about here's what you need to read next if this is grabbing hold of you,
Yeah.
if this is a calling to you.
Yeah.
So people who are searching and need someone to help them down the road, and people who are wondering, is what I was taught when I was younger, is that all there is, or are there larger dimensions?
Yeah.
Are there different dimensions even?
What is your answer to that?
God's bigger than anything we can possibly
Yeah,
imagine.
for sure. I've never had anybody
And if
say
we're
ask that question if are there different dimensions. So I'm just curious what your answer was.
if we're if we're rooted in love, the dimensions are, how many different kinds of plants are there in the world? How many different
Right.
kinds of creatures are in the world? The If we're rooted in love, that to me is the base point. If we're rooted in love, there are just all kinds of expansive ways we can keep growing.
Yeah.
And
1000%.
judgmental about others is not one of the ways that helps us grow.
No, not at all. You're speaking my language. Like I don't I can't I just accept people where they are and where they're at and want to love them regardless. I'm someone that will see the best in someone no matter what. And that's like
Yeah.
sometimes not good, but I just think that we all have to be loved and accepted for who we are because we are all capable of so much, right? And if
Yeah.
someone can love us unconditionally, we're capable of even more.
As a matter of fact, didn't Jesus meet people exactly where they were?
Yeah.
A woman by the well, a guy in a tree, a
Yeah.
tax collector in the in the synagogue. I mean, that was his. wherever he would just come up and start engaging people and get to the heart of who they were and offer them something that might be better.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Beautiful. Why do you think it's important for people to really tap into their spirituality well-being in today's world?
Well, easy answer. If we are body, mind, and spirit, then spirit is something we need to be in touch with and develop.
Yeah.
And so much is about what we do with our bodies. Wonderful. So much is about what we put in our minds and how we learn different things. Wonderful. But spirit needs to be fed as well.
Yes.
And for us to be whole. A,
Yeah.
a non-spirit person is not a whole person. We need all three together, working together, body, mind, and spirit.
That was beautiful. I love that.
Thank you.
Um, where can people learn more about you and your book, purchase the book if they are wanting to dive a little bit deeper and understand their path a little bit better?
Yeah. Well, I have a website, Bob Gardenhire III, capital III, BobGardenhire III.com. That's all about, says a little more about me, has a video that gives a flavor of the book, but has a blog there that
Oh, okay, good.
uh, is a brand new website. The book's only 3 months old, so brand new
Okay.
website. I have one blog there about the way God works across the spectrum of belief in the Christian story. And there's a link there to buy it. It's it's in many places, Barnes and
Good.
Noble, but the direct link of self-publishing is at Amazon.com.
Excellent. Okay. You
Yeah,
guys, I will put all those links in the show notes. So if you are interested in learn learning a little bit more about your spirituality and tapping into Bob's wisdom, go click on the links, go check out his book, go purchase it on Amazon. And I'm sure he would love to hear any feedback that you might have for his book. Bob, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
that's a great question.
Well, good. I'm glad.
You know, the two pillars that fashion all that I say in the book. One is um, that nobody knows everything there is to know about God. I said that earlier.
Yep.
But Paul said that in his writings. Now we see in a mirror dimly, then we'll see face to face. So, with that kind of humility, it gives us the opportunity to not have to always think we are right and others are wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not that every belief in the world is the same or worthy, but at least we don't have to start out judging people because they don't believe the five things I believe.
Yeah.
The other, which is one of the lenses I talk about, is something a professor of mine said to our class in seminary. He said, here's a maxim to put in your mind. God is at least as good as the best of humankind and more.
Wow.
God, and that can judge every action you ever run across. Is this the best of humankind? Well, if it is, if it's less than that, it can't be of God.
Hmm.
That's why the retribution can't be of God.
Yeah.
That's why casting people for eternity into agony and flames can't be of God because
Yeah.
the best of humankind would never do that. So those two things, the broadness of belief and the fact that I don't have all the truth, along with the goodness of God is broader than we can possibly imagine, but it's always better than what we are.
That was beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
feel a little a little emotional from that. Thank you for sharing those words, and
Well,
it just incredible. Bob, thank you for being a guest today. Thank you for sharing about Heart Paths and the mission you have there, and about your book, and leaving us with those incredible words of wisdom. We appreciate you.
well, thank you so much, Deanna. What a joy and pleasure it has been to visit with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You guys,
All
this is
right.
your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.